Here we go, y'all. Brian Shottenheimer's introductory press conference as the Dallas Cowboys' 10th head coach in franchise history. Let's get right into this and see if Brian Shottenheimer can change the way some of the Cowboys fans are feeling about this move, man. I suspect he may. Subscribe for more Dallas Cowboys content.
Coming out this Monday morning.
All right, here we go.
The Star in Frisco. I'd like to introduce our participants here on the stage, who everybody knows. Of course, Cowboys owner, president, and general manager Jerry Jones. Our new Dallas Cowboys head coach, Brian Shottenheimer.
Woo! Let's go, Shotty! Shotty!
And Chief Operating Officer, Executive Vice President of Player Personnel, and co-owner Stephen Jones. All righty.
Yeah, we'll clap.
No one wants to clap for Steven. It's like they held one of those signs up in the crowd and was like, clap now.
Thank you, Tad. First of all, I'd like to thank Jerry, Miss Jean, Stephen, Charlotte, Jerry Jr., the entire Jones family. Over the past 3 years that I've been here, it's been really incredible to get to know them. But I would say really over the past 4 or 5 days, as we've spent a lot of hours together, that I really realized why this organization, but most importantly, this family is so special. So thank you guys for the opportunity. From a football family, the Schottenheimers, to the Jones.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for this incredible.
I love that, bro. I already love that. From a football family, bro. Own that mantle. From a football family, the Schottenheimers. That's what I'm talking about, bro.
Opportunity. And I look forward to working so closely with the entire family in continuing the legacy and tradition of this football team and the special brand that it has. I'm honored and privileged to be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I'd like to just talk briefly about some of the people that we're looking for. And there's a lot of those young men in the back of the room here that, as you guys will learn from me, the Schottenheimers tend to be criers. And that just means we show our emotions. And so the type of people we're looking for that are modeled by a lot of the young men in the back that I will talk directly to them in a minute is just a special group. We're looking for world-class competitors, guys that want to compete every day to be the best versions of themselves. We are looking for people with a relentless work ethic. I was taught at a young age by my father that you can outwork people in this business. You don't belong in this organization if you don't value relationships. This business has never been about X's and O's. It's about people. And when I thought about it, I can't imagine sitting up here with a better group of people.
And that's true. And that's true. And a lot of people going to be like, oh, he doesn't care about X's. No. Players make coaches. Players make coaches. I will continue to say that.
Family to do this with. So I thank you guys for that opportunity. And lastly, the type of people that we want, people that love this game. The game of football has given me so much, my family so much, but if you're not passionate about the game of football and the shield and what it represents, then you're probably in the wrong line of business. To our players, you are the core of this program, and we will focus on you every day. To Dak, JT, JB, Demo, Brock, T-Sizz, Josh Butler, Kalen, Carson, Scooney, you're back there. I don't know if anybody else snuck in that I missed. It means the world to me that you guys are here. And I can't wait to do this alongside you, to get to know you guys at an even deeper level. I want to get to know your hearts. I want to capture your hearts and let you guys get a great feel for me. But thank you for being here. It means the world to me. Quickly about culture. Things that I believe in.
Okay. What's your culture, coach?
The family first mantra, which is embodied by the Jones family. to do and make the sacrifices that we make in order to pursue excellence, it requires the sacrifice, and you need to make it fun. My conversation with the Joneses has been incredible. We see football the same way. It's a first-class organization all the way. You can't. I've never been in the big room, Jerry. Steve, I've never been in the big room. But it's a first-class organization. But please understand this. A first-class organization is not just about the structure or the walls. It's about the way that we treat one another, about the way that we earn each other's trust and respect, and the way we just treat our fans. We treat the people that matter to us most. What I'm going to challenge these guys to do is to let their personalities shine. We've got some incredible, incredible players. We've got incredible support staff. The strength staff is here. That means the world to me. You guys took the time to come up here. But to do what we need to do, it's going to take incredible amounts of hard work, but we're going to do it together. Our team, the Dallas Cowboys, will be driven by a competitive spirit and a love for one another.
I like that.
Lastly,
I like that. Like that. You gotta fight for the guys in the foxhole with you, man. I absolutely love that. So essentially, he's saying his culture is going to be built on family, right? Family. And a football team does need to be a family to a degree. You're out your mind if you don't think seeing the Chiefs going to games together and going to high school games and supporting each other in their endeavors out off the field, that stuff all matters. Family, competitiveness, love for football, and work ethic. Love it. That's pretty much everything you need.
I would be remiss if I didn't thank my family.
Crying, bro.
It's been an incredible journey.
Mean a lot to
I've
him.
had some opportunities when I was a much younger man that I didn't feel like I was ready. I'm ready now. I know what I want. I know.
Oh, okay, coach. You got me ready.
But for you guys that have been with me the whole time, my extended family, I love you. Thank you for being here. To my sister that couldn't be here, Kristen, I know she's watching. She probably has on my dad's Schottenheimer jersey. To my wife, Jemmy.
He's trying his hardest not to cry.
It's been an incredible journey.
He's not pausing because he's thinking. He's pausing because he's trying to hold himself together, because you got to only imagine how big of an accomplishment this is for someone in his profession. This is essentially like ascending to the top of your field right here. You took one of the most prolific jobs in all of the sport. So he absolutely is having some moments to get himself together because he's trying not to cry too much. But I mean, I'm perfectly fine with a coach showing this type of thing as long as it's like you're not crying after every single loss and stuff like that. But this is I love the passion. I love the passion we're seeing here. And just in this one interview, I feel like we've seen more passion from Shotty than we ever saw from Mike. So
lots of ups, lots and downs. You've always been by my side. You're my best friend, and I love you more than you know. To my kids, Sutton and Savannah, thank you for the sacrifices that you made to allow me to pursue my dream. You are my greatest achievement, and I love you. To my mom, one of the first ladies of pro football, when I saw her last night and I had a chance to embrace her, she said, "Baby, you did it." I love you.
that's deep.
And in closing my remarks, there's one person that's not here today, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him. My father was a legendary coach, a great man, but he was an incredible father. And he's impacted me more than anyone in this profession. I know he's looking down on me. I know he's proud. And I miss him very much. But I know what he'd say to me. He'd say, "Brian, the easy part is over. It's time to get to work." I love you, Dad. Thank you, everybody that's here. Go Cowboys.
I'm talking about. All right, so first initial impressions, very passionate guy, somewhat of an empath. I can absolutely see why he connects with the players around him. You can absolutely feel the passion bleeding through him. Just speaking about this, absolutely comes from a football family, lives, breathes, eats football. Seems like his whole family kind of understands that's what these guys are. That's their lineage. So like there were Smiths back in the day, Bakers and stuff like these guys are football coaches, right? So really, really appreciate that. Love what I heard as far as the type of players he's looking for, guys that are ultra competitive, work ethic second to none, and they love the game of football. That right there to me, as long as you hit those 3 marks, then to me, you're going to have yourself a moldable football player for sure to where you can get what you need out of those guys. So far so good. Haven't heard anything alarming just yet. And I do like that he talked about culture immediately.
Thank you. Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. This is for Jerry and Stephen. Why did you pick Brian Shottenheimer? What was it about him that you guys felt like he was the right fit for you guys?
In the almost 35 years that I've been involved with the Dallas Cowboys, I've only missed one Senior Bowl, 35 years. And I think I missed one combine in 35 years. At the NFL, over the last 4 or 5 years, the NFL, we want to come in a day early so that we can visit with prospective coaches for the future of my team and any of the teams. In 35 years, I don't think I've ever visited with a coach, but what in my heart and mind, I wasn't having an interview. I don't think I've ever had a coach visit with me that wasn't prospectively thinking maybe someday our paths might cross. I know Jones might give me a little thought as I'm along the way. I've been around a lot of coaches. As a matter of fact, I wanted to be a coach.
Is Jerry about to cry?
Except
Jerry just admitted it. Jerry just admitted it and said something crazy.
I wanted to live better than I thought coaches live.
I had to let y'all hear that part. Bro, Jerry just admitted it. I wanted to be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys, except I don't like how much money they make. Bruh, this is wild. This man about to be in tears, bro. Where you going with this, Jerry?
I wanted to drive a little bigger car, and I wanted to fly in an airplane. Had I known what I'm paying them now, I'd have been a damn coach. But having said that, coaching is no, and the makeup of coaches are no stranger to me. On my college team, within almost 3 years after we won the national championship, every position coach, the Johnny Majors, the Hayden Fries, the Doug Dickies, every position coach became a head coach. Barry Switzer at Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. So I've seen it when I was a pup.
Is Jerry okay?
I have a good background in the makeup of what a coach is.
Bro, is Jerry okay? Bro, Jerry is on stage fighting for his life right now. I gotta send this tweet out. Jerry is on stage. Jerry was out there fighting for his old ass life. Wow. Wow, bruh.
To think that you could make a decision in an interview and not have talked, if you didn't and hadn't ever communicated or had a visit, I wouldn't dare have had an interview unless I talked to many people that knew that person and had those kinds of life experiences, knew their story, if you will, Shotty, knew their story. Pat is here today. Jean, my wife, is here. Pat is Shotty's mama. When I served on the competition committee, we had many times that we were together. Jean knew.
Okay. So we're really understanding how this whole Schottenheimer thing came about. Okay, so Jerry has a soft space in his heart for football people, right? And you could tell he has a lot of respect for the Schottenheimer family, not only Marty, but also Brian Schottenheimer's mother. And he also has respect for Brian Schottenheimer's journey to get to where he is today. So essentially, it sounds like what he just said was he's not going to go out there and interview a Ben Johnson or some of these other guys because there's not enough people that can vouch for them, essentially, that can vouch for their journey, that can vouch for who they are as people, as individuals, as human beings. And I guess Jerry is saying he prioritizes that. Right or wrong, that's up to you to decide as a viewer. But I'm just, hey, man, don't shoot the messenger.
Marty, okay, we knew you. We know what osmosis is, and we know what Shotty grew up around. Not just from that, but we knew. Frankly, from the standpoint of Shotty, those X hairs crossed. Shotty might never have been in our mirror or in our view had he not joined us to be with Mike as a consultant 3 years ago and had been a coach. I've sat in handfuls of meetings with Shotty. I've listened, I've watched him have deference to his head coach. I've watched him have deference to experience guys like Zimmer, guys like got around. I've watched him bite his lip sometime when he didn't necessarily agree with that direction, but he bit his lip as his daddy would have told him to bite your lip. Have deference to the head coach. I've watched him exercise.
Yo! Okay. So y'all remember how we kept talking about, Shotty being a part of the reason why the Cowboys offense looks so different. I'm going to upload a show with Law, man, and we kind of broke this down really well about that dynamic and about how Mike McCarthy was so concerned with people around him being successful that he wasn't doing a good job of leading. And you could tell by that team. You could tell by how the team reacted in tough times. And one of the biggest things that I noticed was I feel like Mike McCarthy decided to go out on his shield this year. I feel like he was like, screw what anybody else's input is. I want to run my offense. I want to run the offense the way I want to run it. And I think the offense we seen this year was the offense that we were running at the beginning of the last season. And the difference between the beginning of last season, the middle of last season, end of last season, and the beginning of this season, really this whole season, was I feel like Shotty and some of the other people in that building probably was like, hey, man, we need to make some changes because this isn't working. Dak, CD, some of those guys, we need to make some changes because this isn't working, right? And they made them changes, and we saw the offense get better. And then Mike came into this season knowing, hey, I'm on a lame duck contract. I don't have a guarantee I'm going to be here. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out my way. And I think we saw Mike McCarthy's offense in full force this season, and that's why it looked like an absolute it show. And Jerry is almost pretty much throwing him under the bus, saying that Shotty, there was times where Shotty wanted to correct things, where Shotty didn't agree with how we were going to approach things, where Shotty didn't agree with maybe the direction we were going with certain things, and he bit his lip, because that's what you're supposed to do when you're not the head coach, when you're not calling the shots. You're not supposed to undercut your leader, because that's a sign of a bad follower, right?
Those things. I've particularly been a part of seeing what's brought this players in here today. Guys like Dak. And I know that Shotty is no stranger to these guys. I know he's no stranger to this building. Now, I get my proverbial ass kicked over needing people in my comfort zone. Without this thing being about me in any way, if you don't think I can't operate out of my comfort zone, you're so wrong. It's unbelievable. This is as big a risk as you can take.
Dak laughing. Dak is laughing, bro. Dak laughing because he knows Jerry is directly responding to all of the foolishness, bro. Yo, this is hilarious. This is wild, actually. This is wild.
As big a risk as you could take. No head coaching experience. That let me share something with you. With all of that, you've just heard him reference his osmosis, his family. Anybody in this room that doesn't believe the apple doesn't go far from the tree has missed it someplace down the road. Especially if there was an effort to make it that way, and there was an effort. But then you go around to the countless numbers of coaches that Shotty has served on staff with and been around, the countless players. How often do you have someone that has 25, I'm going to say 25, it may be 26, of years of working through the human relationship and working, aspiring to learn, have his ears and eyes wide open and looking for techniques and looking for things that make coaches better. How often do you have a chance to take advantage of all of that at 50 years old, which is a puppy? Yet he's had 25 years being around the kinds of things that he's going to have to draw on to be a coach.
Damn, boy, the Cowboys, the richest organization in the world, and this man, they cannot keep their audio together. This is nuts.
I like his baggage.
He said he likes his baggage.
I like that experience. But let me say this.
Fixed audio.
When he called his mother, and I heard the other end, and I was listening to Shotty. And one of the things he said to his mama is, Mama, I'm going to get what Daddy didn't get a chance to get, or got a chance but didn't get. And I'm going to get a Super Bowl. It kills me. And his mother.
Oh, okay, Shotty. Hey. Never doubt a man that's making promises on the back of his deceased father, bruh. On the legacy of his father's name. Hey, man, I'm all for Shotty, bro. I am not about to be one of those people, bro. Hey, that's deep. That's deep to go out and tell your mom, hey, Mom, I'm going to accomplish what Dad couldn't. Hey, that's deep. I'm here for it.
The other, of course, was emotional. This one will be for Daddy. The first one will be for him. I don't know what you call instincts. I don't know where you come.
Man, Jerry is crying. Jerry is crying. He's not crying just because he's a salesman. He's crying because he feels like his reputation is being drugged through the mud right now. This is a man who's very, very aware. I told y'all the most important thing to Jerry Jones was being looked at like a king by the poor folks. And right now, people are ready to run the king out of the kingdom. And Jerry feels that pressure, bro. He's directly addressing a lot of the concerns and things that we've said, stated, asked, talked about, discussed. He's directly addressing a lot of that stuff with a lot of passion. He's crying. No, I'm not going for it. I still think Jerry needs to change some ways he's doing things, but this is interesting.
I don't want to go into all the psychological stuff that caused Barry Switzer to be here. Or Chan Gailey. But it wasn't just about X and O's. And it was about things that were all melded in with some of life's experience and using my own osmosis, how I got here. All of that comes to play. I've read where we didn't have but 4 or 5 interviews.
Yep.
It's ridiculous to think that you can make a decision to coach the Cowboys relative to the number of interviews that you might have. He's a product of a lot of time. Many will say misplaced time or skewed times. I've read where I don't have a penchant for risk-taking. If you really knew my score sheet, you would see that I've taken more risk in the last 5 years than the rest of my life put together. And sometimes I don't know when I look in that mirror why the risk is taken. With it there, let me say this. It was a huge risk to get involved with the Dallas Cowboys. Huge. And a lot of people that quote unquote didn't understand or feel like it could be done. I spent a nice part, Tim Calishaw, you'll remember it. I spent a nice part of my early 4 or 5 years with the Dallas Cowboys defending why not Coach Landry and defending why Jimmy would make a good coach. I think one time I said he's worth 5 Heisman trophies to be a good coach. Did I know? No, but I knew Jimmy. Okay, had I interviewed countless thousands of coaches? No. No, not at all. So what I'm here to tell you is this was a thorough process, shaded by whatever my experiences have been, shaded by my experiences with Stephen and Charlotte and Jerry, shaded by many things. We all are involved in this. And what I would say for the fans is that, yes, to some, and it might be couched as a less than glamorous hire. What I would say to you is I got here taking shots and not shoddy shots. I got here taking shots. Good things have happened. Let me tell you something. There's some stuff to be had over there where not many people go. There is. Don't think for 1 minute I won't take a shot. This was risky. This is risky. But by the same token, how often can you take a risk when someone has had over 30 years, almost 30 years, get my numbers mixed up, but almost 30 years of being around coaches, of being around players.
Right. That's what I was saying. Is, man, you can't discount this dude, bro. And I know a lot of people, oh, he's under what? No, he's not. No, he's not. He's made the most of the teams that he's had. He's made the most with the offensive pieces he's had around him. Man, you really cannot, like the Ben Johnsons and Aaron Glenn's, all that stuff is cool, bro. But you cannot discount having 20 plus years of experience and showing that you have the capacity to be able to change with the game. And Shotty has done that.
2/3 of his life, and then the rest of it growing up in a football-oriented, NFL-oriented family, if you will.
Right.
I think this might make something special.
Let's
So
see.
I'm all behind what we're, to say the very least, Clarence, for your benefit, I'm all in here.
Clarence Hill, All City DLLS. You brought up risk. You also brought up Super Bowl. What about this move gets you to the Super Bowl? Because that's what the fans are talking about. And Shotty, by the same token, question for you and for Shotty. What difference can you make from the Mike McCarthy era from a cultural standpoint that gets him over the hump?
Mike's one of my best friends. And when you talk about what Mike and this football team has done over the last 5 years, it's been some incredible success. One of my greatest strengths is my ability to create relationships. Relationships that are built on trust, respect, connection.
What did I tell y'all? What did I tell y'all was one of Mike McCarthy's biggest issues as far as being able to actually properly lead this team? I told y'all one of the biggest issues is that he walked around insecure. He didn't trust the guys around him. He didn't trust the people around him to be great in their roles because he felt like that was an impediment on him. And you could see that just in how he carried himself, how he spoke. He never, ever, whenever you've gone and heard Mike McCarthy speak glowingly about any of his coordinators, go out his way to give credit to any of the people working under him. You really haven't heard that. You really have not. And Brian Shottenheimer, in a roundabout way, in a very respectable, politically correct way, he's essentially saying the biggest difference he's going to bring is the team is going to be connected. The people that's working for him, around him, and with him, they're going to be connected. They're going to believe in him. They're going to believe in what he's trying to do. He's going to hear people, and he's going to create those relationships that you need to win. And in football, you absolutely need relationships to win. Football is the last sport where you can have a bunch of mercenaries on the team and win the championship. It's not happening.
I'm really good with X's and O's, but I'm great with people. And the type of men that we have in this locker room are excited about that. And so I think as we build this thing out, as the culture comes together of this team, that's where I feel like my greatest impact will be felt. With the relationships,
with the togetherness of the
the
team,
ability to communicate. I've always been someone that was very good at having open dialogue, hard conversations, and I've always tried to paint very clear, bright lines, and that's what I plan to do as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
I like that. All right, so essentially he's saying he's going to actually give guys a purpose, direction, and a motivation. And he's going to outline to guys exactly what he's expecting from them, and he's not going to have a problem with actually going and be able to have open and honest conversations with them about what he doesn't like about what they're doing. Again, one of the reports we heard about Mike McCarthy was he would not really directly address things, and he would kind of just scared around things, and Amari Cooper kind of gave him some insecurity because he felt like Amari was leading a section of players that really wasn't for Mike McCarthy, and so Mike McCarthy never really just addressed that man-to-man. He got Amari Cooper traded or wanted Amari Cooper out of his locker room, and he was reportedly part of the reason Amari is gone. And that's the type of thing that can be fixed. Maybe instead of having to trade a guy, you can have a Brian Shottenheimer actually sit down and be like, hey, man, what's your problem? What's your problem with what we're doing? What's your problem with the program we're running? What is your problem with me? And how can we fix this? You know what I'm saying? So maybe that'll be the difference. Maybe that'll be the difference. Interesting answer there.
Excuse me, speak up.
How does this get you to the Super Bowl? How does this move get you to the Super Bowl?
Mike McCarthy left some good stuff here. One of them was Brian. He did leave. Mike McCarthy's a hell of a coach. He left some good stuff here. It was time for a change. I've heard it criticized. We spent 5 days getting to come to that decision.
Jerry, hear everything.
Come to that decision. One of the reasons we came to that decision is because there was this decision available to us as well. One of the reasons. Shotty has fantastic support among our players. Key players.
Dak.
Real support. And they've seen him when he was on top. They've seen him when it didn't work out so well. That's an advantage here. That's a real advantage. That was big. That was real big. This process, I've read where it looked disjointed, it looked untimely, it looked those kinds of things. The very nature of the process, the time after we played our last game, and you've all heard me talk about how I felt about Mike McCarthy as being a good coach. But that time, those days, to reflect with him and go through many things that we should and wanted to talk about, that caused us to arrive at that. But what we have,
Mike McCarthy said something Jerry didn't like. Mike McCarthy either was making excuses or he wasn't saying the things that Jerry was looking for him to say as it pertains to how he was going to fix the issues with the Cowboys, how he was going to get better moving forward. Mike McCarthy said something that Jerry didn't agree with or like, or didn't agree with the vision for the team. Very interesting.
Is an opportunity to take some of the very best things that are here in place, Mike's doing, some of those very best things, change some of that, add to it, and be better for that. Shotty's very much aware. I've heard Shotty referred to as maybe old school with his offensive philosophy.
No.
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
He's not old school with it.
As these philosophies or as these offensive philosophies evolve, okay, Shotty has a good feel for not only the offensive philosophies, where they are today, but where they're going to go, and certainly where it has been. That's rare to come in here with this kind of energy, this kind of, I'm going to show them. That's rare to combine those two things.
I like it too.
There'll be change, but we'll use in place some of the many things that we have here now.
There will be change.
Brian, Todd Archer with ESPN.
There will be
in the beginning that you weren't
Jerry just promised some change. He said there will be change. So let's see.
ready then to take a head coaching job. Why are you ready now?
I think, over the past 19 years, when that first was afforded to me, when I was first-time coordinator with the New York Jets and
The Bills.
bright spotlight, I just there were things that made me pause. Now, spending the better part of the last 19 years learning, listening, doing, I've learned things, almost more things that I don't believe in than things that I believe in. Todd, I've always tried to be someone that moves around. I want to be around incredible coaches and players and try to learn from them. And so going to Seattle was, I would say, critical to my development as a coach. Pete Carroll challenged me in a number of ways. He challenged me to continue to be authentic, to continue to dive into the relationships that matter, which is your coaches, your players, ownership. He challenged me offensively, to be honest with you. He challenged me with, hey, what do you think about this scheme? What do you think about that scheme? And the McVay Shanahan style was taking off, and in Seattle we were competing against, Sean and Kyle, and so he was pressing me. So I just really feel like things changed for me when I went with Pete. Learned a ton from my dad and all the coaches, Mike and Steve Spurrier, all those guys. But Pete Carroll had a huge impact on me, and it probably sharpened my edge and sharpened my view on what I want this opportunity to look like. And that was a big change for me, and one that I'm excited about moving forward.
And then for Stephen and Jerry, what do you guys need to do differently to support Brian and to end the 29-year drought that you guys have?
The good question. Good question, Todd Archer.
Well, I think we, you always have to evaluate, where it didn't go right last year. And obviously we're also evaluating where it didn't go right, in terms of, this drought that people say we're in terms of a championship game or a Super Bowl. And
ain't no bunny here, Steven. Tell us what people say we're in. We're in a drought, fool. We drowned out here. We are thirsty. Our throats is dry. Our lips is cracking. We dehydrated. We in a drought, Steven. Stop, bruh.
We just have to continue to make this roster better. It'll certainly be something that Jerry, myself, Will and his staff, and now Coach Shotty and his staff, we'll sit down and take a look and see what we have to do better. I think we got a lot of great pieces. You ask why Shotty? I think Shotty's the perfect combination of keeping some continuity, but also affecting change, and we have to support that as well. In terms of being behind him and doing the things he wants to do. I've walked in Shotty's shoes. I have a lot of deference in myself as well, working with Jerry. Shotty did the same with Mike. Would he do things different? Is he going to do things different than Mike? Absolutely. I'm convinced of that. And, I think we got a great plan on defense. I think we got a great plan on special teams. We're putting that all together. That has to come together as a staff, and certainly Shotty leads that. And as he said, some of his best characteristics are communications and working with people. And I see that. I've taken that in. I've gotten more respect through this process with him, and also talking to other men about the job. But certainly we'll do a real deep dive on putting some personnel together, whether it be through the draft, free agency. I know, typically that's not been the way we've done this team, but we'll certainly look at it and, put really good, not only players, but good football character people with some of the men we have in this room right now.
Oh.
We have a lot of great players.
Oh, wow. Now that we usually don't get. Steven himself even said we usually don't mess around in free agency, but we're probably going to. Oh, this is going to be an interesting offseason for Cowboys fans. Interesting offseason, bro.
Certainly, no one has excuses. We had a few challenges this year on the injury front, and that's why we think we do need to keep some continuity. Certainly, every team, when they're looking for a coach out there, is looking, what's in the best interest of the quarterback. Certainly, that played a role here. And, Dak's not making any coaching decisions, nor does he want to, but I can tell you every team who made a coaching decision was looking at how they solved for the quarterback. And, that's how you win in this league.
That's how you do it, Steven. You clear Dak's name because people been reporting, oh, Dak had a part. No, Dak didn't have a part in picking the coach. He just said that they may have been thinking on Dak's behalf to make sure that the continuity was there offensively, and he got a coach that understood Dak and his strengths, but he didn't pick the coach. Y'all can come off that BS.
We've got one of the best, if not the best, in terms of our quarterback.
Yeah.
And he's the ultimate leader, and we just have to continue to put the pieces around. And, we're not naive. I know our fans, they're not going to believe, and there's going to be pressure until we get the job done. And certainly we didn't get the job done this year, and our ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl. I can tell you, I've never seen a man more driven than Jerry. This is huge to him to go get this championship. And I know Coach Schottenheimer believes the same thing, and I know our players sitting in the back want it. I mean, they want it. They're driven to get it, and we've got to get the right people to put around them. We'll have turnover in our roster like we do every year, and our goal is to put together the best roster in the NFL.
Steve Spurrier told me, I called him and asked him about Shotty as a ball player, how he got there. He said, well, to start with, he threw the first touchdown pass in our national championship season. I got mad at my Heisman Trophy winner under center and sent him out there, and damned if he didn't throw the touchdown pass. But he told me a lot about Shotty. I called Pete Carroll to talk about Shotty. Why did y'all split up? Why'd you fire Shotty if you fired him? How'd that happen?
Mm-hmm.
So we got into that.
I knew it. I knew that's what that talk was about.
Because Shotty has been effusive about the impact of not only his father, but Pete and the people that have shaped him along the way. But it's kind of interesting. Will and his staff, they go to the next door neighbors of these players that we're drafting or look at drafting and get that next door neighbor to talk about them at that time. Boy, you need to do that when you're dealing with a head coach. Now, I didn't have to go to the next door neighbor with Jimmy. I didn't have to go to the next door neighbor with Barry. But, man, I've been to this guy's next door neighbor personally. And I like our shot with Shotty.
Me too, Jerry.
The Athletic for Steve.
I'm sipping the Kool-Aid, Jerry, and my boy John Masoda. Come on, John.
We know that you met multiple times with Brian, several hours. Can you just kind of go behind the scenes and share some of the stuff that was talked about during that, and at what point you guys kind of felt comfortable making him the next head coach?
As I said, and certainly I probably more than anybody have respect, for what Shotty's role was. I mean, Mike was our play caller. He was our head coach, and then he was our play caller. And, Shotty was there to support him as the offensive coordinator. But I think some of the most important things for us, after you get to know the man better and you see the energy, you see the way he can communicate with Jerry, with myself, with the room, certainly that jumped out at you. But the bigger thing, as I mentioned, we certainly want continuity, but we also want change. And, just felt like, we need something that's going to freshen it up. Mike did one hell of a job here. He's the winningest coach, I think, in the history of the franchise. Had an unprecedented, 3-year run, winning 12 games. So, Mike did a lot of great things here. But at the same time, we just felt like, Jerry felt like, I was supportive of it, that we did need change. And we wanted to hear how that was going to happen. And, it's not just the X's and O's.
Yeah.
We obviously went extensively through the X's and O's. But
I'm not going to lie to y'all, bro. I'm not going to lie to y'all. This press conference, it ain't going to work on 90% of Cowboys fans, but for the people that are trying to listen for positivity, people that are trying to look for something positive, I feel like this press conference is doing a really good job of clearing up a lot of the process issues that people have had with how the Cowboys went about things. Even if it's not the way people feel like you're supposed to do things, it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. And they're promising change. Shotty has said some really good things. This is a really good introductory press conference, if I'm being honest. And they're being candid. They're being candid about what the organization is, how the fans feel, the fact that they know how we feel. This is all really good stuff, y'all.
You get into the schedules, you get into how you get your players motivated, how you take care of your players. All those things are, part of being a head coach, and it's a lot. And that's why, a lot of people sometimes scratch their head, why would you go with a first-time head coach? That's been the way of the league these days. Most are going with these young offensive wizards that hadn't been head coaches. But I think we got a better version of that because of Shotty's experience. I mean, everybody's mentioned it, 25 years.
And honestly, that is a fair point. That's a fair point. You got 25 years of experience in the NFL. This will be your first time head coaching. You come from a football family. You've made great relationships with coaches and players and everybody that you've been around, and you've had some pretty good results. And honestly, it makes sense. Makes sense. I know y'all hate it, but it makes sense.
NFL coaching and a whole lifetime of being around it. He played the game, at a high level of competition in college. Certainly that made an impression on him. But it was real important, and the more we met, the more we wanted to meet. And I think that was helping us, come to a conclusion on what that decision should be in terms of, Coach Schottenheimer being our next head coach.
And then for Brian, real quick, just what was that moment like when it was Jerry or Steven or whoever told you, hey, we're moving forward with you, you're the next head coach?
Humbling. There's so many incredible coaches in this profession at every level. Again, I think I look back on my journey and, the fact that I'm sitting up here with these two men in front of you guys is a great lesson for coaches. It's a great lesson for my kids, for some of our players about persistence. And you get knocked down, you get back up, and you keep working. And I'm incredibly, incredibly honored to be sitting in this chair because it's such an incredible profession with so many great coaches that when I got the news, I really couldn't speak. I really couldn't speak, and immediately I went to seeing my father's face and knowing how proud he would be of me.
I like Shotty. I don't care what y'all say. I'm a Shotty fan.
His mama, right there in front of us, and that was very emotional. And I kind of set him up. I said, you are a first-time coach, and I believe we're hanging around the rim. I think we've got in place. A team that can get there right now. I had other coaches tell me that were wanting the job. You're right there. Right there. This, that, and the other. So I started to explain to him, but tongue-in-cheek, that I just couldn't take the risk of going with someone that was doing it for the first time. and then proceeded to go over some of the things that we talked about right there. And that's how he found out. He started, in my mind, finding out we'd be at our Monday morning coaches meetings. And we'd be sitting there, and this year, more often than not, I'd have my head down and just be sitting here listening. And all of a sudden, that shotty would pop out with something. I go, hell, that's pretty good. This is kind of a somber morning. That's pretty damn good. Okay. Those are the kinds of things that give you an advantage if you've have proximity.
Leader of men, bro.
And that was an edge.
Leader of men.
To go along with
Shotty's
many
leader of men.
boxes over here that were not checked. But that was kind of the edge. Nobody, no situation checks all the boxes.
No, facts.
Nick Harris, Forward Artillerygram. This first one's for Jerry right here in the front.
Really?
Right here. You obviously know the man to your right very well. When you talk to fans are super impatient. They see two NFC East teams playing yesterday. Obviously the drought that we've spoken to. I know you've spoken to fan sentiment, but why should fans buy into Brian Shottenheimer?
Well, you have touched on one point. Our fans have been very patient. Very patient. And through you to them, I want to tell them how appreciative that I am of the support and of their interest in the Dallas Cowboys. Now, there's a whole bunch of those fans that look and are interested because they want to see me grovel, whatever it is. But I'm not putting that up there much. But to those fans who have been with us, this decision to bring Shotty in is risky. It's not a Hail Mary at all in any way. But it's founded over some very unique, as I started off, unique sets of circumstances. I know how much our fans are into the Dallas Cowboys. And for me to be into it is no solace at all. We're interested, they're interested, I'm interested in getting to those playoffs and winning.
Okay.
This is the best way that we can go to the playoffs and win.
My next one's for Brian, if I could really quick. You've worked with Dak Prescott for 3 years now. Obviously, he had a lot of support for you. What do you feel like you two can work on together to unlock even more of his game?
Well, before I respond to that, I'd like to go back with one thing, Nick. I'm not doing this by myself. I've got the incredible support of Jerry, Steve, and the Jones family. The young men that are sitting behind you, we're doing this together. So my message to the Cowboys fans and community is we're going to do this together, and we're going to build this thing the right way. We're going to get the culture right. The X's and O's will come. That doesn't matter. But the support and the work ethic of these guys that sit behind me, incredibly humbling that they know what it takes to win too. So it's not just me, it'll be me and the staff. Your second question, I apologize, was?
You've worked with Dak for the last 3 years. What do you feel like you can get out of him? What do you feel like he can get out of you as well?
You know, iron sharpens iron, and Dak and I have an incredible relationship, just like I have an incredible relationship with all these guys. Dak and I know how to push each other's buttons. We know how to have hard conversations. I laugh because I think about in training camp last year, a ball got intercepted, and we kind of had a thing in place where it was like, if you throw an interception, you come out. And so I took Dak out, and he's like, what? Like, he pushed back. He's like, ah. And the competitor in him is special. And so I think he and I working together, along with the rest of the guys, putting together the system. There'll be tweaks. There's going to be changes. But he's the type of worker that changes an entire organization. And I think he and I see the game of football offensively very, very similar. and we'll have
Dak ready to run
tons
through a
of
wall for Shotty.
communication.
Dak is ready to run through a wall for Shotty right now. You see him over there like legs shaking. He ready to run through a wall for Shotty. Either that or he trying to keep it together.
And moving forward on some of the thoughts of things we want to do, whether it's tempo or, some of the different things we're trying to do with our play action passing game, the run game, things like that. But he's easy to talk to, and I love and respect him.
Play action Dak is back.
Hey guys, Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. 2 questions. The first I'll lead to Shotty. Kind of circling back to what Jerry and Steven both said as far as freshening things up, looking for a change. From a head coach perspective, that's going to key in on the offense. Generally speaking, how do you look to move forward as far as modernizing the offense? You talk about solving for the quarterback. What does that look like under a Schottenheimer era?
Yeah, again, I go back to my days with Pete. I think if you go back and you look at some of the things we did in Seattle, obviously the starting point for me would be things that our players do well. You're always going to start with that.
Yes, sir.
If your system's not flexible enough to do what your players do well, then you're probably in the wrong business. But
so I'd like to hear, Shotty.
I'm a big believer in cut splits. I'm a big believer in shifts and motions to distort things. We're going to do a great job of marrying our runs and our passes and make those look the same. I'm proud to say that 2 different times in my career as a coordinator, we led the league in rushing, and they go hand in hand. The running game and the action passing game go hand in hand. But I would say there's a tempo element that we're excited to mix in, that our players have all shown an affinity for. And let me expand on that a little bit. Why do players like tempo? Well, they like tempo because it allows them to play free. You guys have heard some of the play calls. Dak could rattle off 4 or 5 of them right now. They're pretty long. So when you go fast and you're playing on the ball, these guys, it's a little bit more like pickup basketball, and those would probably be the biggest things that I would say from an offensive standpoint.
From a personnel and roster building standpoint, salary cap management as well for Jerry and Steven, you guys talk about learning some hard lessons, especially from 2024, depth issues once you guys were ravaged by injury. Just as far as salary cap management goes, free agency and the like, looking in the mirror is one way that you can learn things. Another way is to look at what your opponents and enemies are doing and try to kind of take from their strategies. When you look at a team like the Eagles, for example, do you feel there's anything that you guys can kind of take from their strategies, seeing as they handle free agency a certain way and they're back in the Super Bowl this year, that kind of could work for the Cowboys going forward?
Yeah, I think you certainly look at that. I think you look at your competitors in your conference, what it's going to take to have success, whether that's a 49er team or whether that's an Eagle team. Obviously, the 49ers, had the injury bug situation, and in this salary cap era, if that injury bug hits you hard enough, it's it can be difficult to overcome. And but at the same time, that's the goal, is to really do a good job with your draft, college free agency. That should be where your strong depth is. Obviously, this year we were counting on playing those guys right away, and they had to jump right in, and as the injuries came, more and more had to jump in. And but I think the bigger thing here is just where can we, which has been our goal in the past, where can we, in free agency, take care of some core needs so that when the draft comes, you are able to take the best player on the board, not unlike we did with CD. We weren't necessarily in that draft looking for a receiver, but CD Lamb's sitting there, and it's obvious what you do there. And I think if you do some things in free agency, like we've done in the past, to really take care of your roster before the draft comes around, you have a much better chance. But certainly, you look at the blueprints. Everybody does it different. Kansas City's doing a great job bringing young guys along, and those type of things. And like a team like Philadelphia, you certainly look at the way they're doing it, where they went out and did some things with some veteran players. You have to take a look at that, and then you got to find exactly what fits your core, your DNA with our players and what we have, and what gives us the best chance to compete against. Certainly, you start with your division, the Eagles, the Commanders and the Giants, and then you stretch that out, and what does it take to beat the 49ers, to beat the Rams? Certainly those are all things that come in the mix.
I'll answer this. It's money management. Cap is financial. When I bought the Cowboys,
here we go.
Several of your counterparts rode over with me on this little jet airplane, rode over to my home in Little Rock, Arkansas. And we got off the plane and rolled up there to pick us up was a 5-year-old dirty Ford Bronco. And they got off and said, this doesn't make a lick of sense. You just bought the Cowboys and you're flying a jet and you drive up here in a 5-year-old dirty Bronco. And I said, it makes perfect sense. You can't have it all. You got to sacrifice someplace to get the other. If you try to have it all, you can pay the fiddler when you've used up your credit. That's salary cap. That's a salary cap. Not one that we won't hear, oh, what about that team? They've got the same salary cap issue you do, and they've got that done. Well, it's because all teams are different, and they've made those decisions as they've moved along. We want to improve significantly how we are doing the cap. The cap takes a big hit when you're invested in players that have injuries, significant injuries. So the cap can take a big hit at that time, cap management. But it's still there. It's still there. It's as real as if it was never there, the availability of it. And so if somebody thinks it's daunting, I try to answer you when we're talking. And so you hear me talk about, well, we have to manage the cap. Why not this free agent? Why don't you go do this? Not necessarily why didn't you go do that with that, or the timeliness of how you did it, but why didn't you go do that? That's all management, okay? I want our fans to know that I can manage really good. I do real well managing. I do real well managing. I know that that bank account's full. That doesn't mean you got money. It just means you hadn't paid your bills due 60 days from now. So you got to look around the corner, you got to be good at it, and you got to live with the time that you're looking around the corner. Okay? And so that's what you see here. No apologies. Everybody has to do it. We obviously hadn't done it well enough.
Okay.
I think our first Super Bowls that I was involved in were before the cap. And so we have to do a better job in that area. Can we? You bet you can. You bet you
at least
can.
you admitted y'all got to do a better job. I'm about to say, you going
We
left.
spent some of it for Dak. We spent some of it for Lamb. We spent some of it for several of our players. It was an allocation, an anticipation of what we weren't going to spend or not spend in the future. All of that said, we Stephen, me, spend a lot of time in this area. And I'm not talking about just sitting there in the office on a chalkboard. I'm talking about 3 o'clock in the morning when you can't sleep and you're sitting there doodling that cap.
Brad Sham, 105.3 The Fan. Brian, how long have you been thinking about and prioritizing being a head coach, and did this opportunity surprise you?
Humbly speaking, Brad, when I was
to get involved in sports and pro ball. I screwed around with clocks in my life. I wouldn't get to be sitting up here. And by the way, you say, well, if you'd watched the clock, you wouldn't be sitting up here explaining why you hadn't been to a playoff game in all those years, too. I understand. I get it. One of the fun things about this deal is you get to start a new clock every time you line up for the year. And so I really can block out, not block out the practical things, because I don't care if it is the new year. If they're about to take your house away, that'll go. When I was trying to buy the Cowboys, I think I did read someplace, Tim, you might have remembered or what have you. I read someplace where that process and all that was going on was maybe creating some time problems relative to the clock of the NFL or the clock of that. I've really not had the experience of that being the determining factor. I heard this year that we didn't get Dak signed quick enough. Dak, you're sitting right back there. You want to stand up and tell him you had something to do with that?
No, thank you.
Didn't get Lamb signed quick enough. Okay, there's so damn many more things to think about than that clock. It's unbelievable. So I hear it, and I understand the point. But I think it is fair to say that that clock doesn't.
Jerry's trying to throw Dak under the bus, boy. You ain't worth the damn.
Dak's missed a large portion of 2 of the last 5 seasons with injuries. It's going to be, I think, 32 when the next season starts.
He's a young 32.
What's your vision? You talked about how important the quarterback is, all of you have in these kinds of decisions. What's your vision for him going forward?
I think when you talk about Dak, number one, I've had the best seat in the house for the past couple of years in terms of the first year 1 as a consultant, watching. Literally, I remember the first day I was in the building, he came up and introduced himself, said hello, and we were just talking, and people that we mutually respected, and we talked about that. But, you know, being around the last couple, years, my vision for him is he's one of the best. And through the coaching that he's going to get, through the hours and hours and hours of time that he and I will spend together, he's going to play elite level football, and he's going to lead us to championships. And that's because of the way he works, the way he prepares. This guy prepares different. Ed, he does. He prepares different. This guy, I'll be coming down late at night and trying to get something to drink, and I just have to move around because my eyes are bugging out from watching video, and he's still in the building doing his, I guess it's hot, cold therapy, whatever that is. I don't do that, but we got the right guy, and working closely with him and these other players, we're going to win, and we're going to win a championship. Otherwise, why are we doing it?
Dak, you're sitting right behind Ed Werder there. Reach up there and squeeze him on his neck and show him what a little problem is with your health. Feels like.
Alrighty, we're out of time. And
Okay. Very, very interesting stuff there. We got them pretty much reconfirming that Dak Prescott is their guy. Brian Shottenheimer said a lot of good things that I really, really like to hear from a potential head coaching candidate, or really from the new head coach of the Cowboys. To me, Brian Shottenheimer pretty much said everything he needed to say. He didn't come off as a politician. He didn't come off as a guy that was just trying to say the right things. He came off as very sincere, very genuine. He came off as a guy that believes what he's saying, and he comes off as a person that has a plan. I can very much so tell that, for one, he wasn't trying to give up too much, but I can very much so tell that the thing that won Jerry and Steven and those guys over was the fact that Schottenheimer has a plan, and he knows exactly what he wants to do with this team. He knows exactly what he needs to do with these players. He knows exactly what tweaks he wants to make. And I think that, again, like I've been saying since the hire was made, we just got to wait and see, y'all. We just got to wait and see. But either way, we still the same old Cowboys. This was a long reaction, so hopefully y'all enjoy this mug. And I'll see y'all next week.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still the ball? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Hey! I'm still them boys.